So I'm here at Elliott Woods State Nature Preserve, and this is my second time visiting. The first time was more just to gather information and see what I could find, take notes, take some pictures, take some recordings. This time I'm here, I've decided to look at the differences that have been made in the past 2 weeks. Unfortunately, there haven't been a lot, except for the leaves falling. The temperature is actually warmer than it was a few weeks ago, and I figured this would be a good time to talk over about the things that I found here and how the wave tribe could have lived here as opposed to alongside the river. One of the first things I've noticed is the wildlife. I've seen deer, turkey, squirrel, a lot of game animals. The wave tribe was very prominent in using spears and bows and arrows. Things such as raccoons, possums, coyotes. I found prints for them. I haven't been able to see any, but possums and raccoons were definitely used for their fur and their pelts. They were sometimes used for eating, but usually not often. Possums, again, usually used for eating, but not very often. I have seen some coyote prints, as I had said, but the wave tribe wouldn't necessarily be afraid of coyotes because coyotes are more afraid of them than they are of coyotes. So usually they'd keep their distance, and if a Native American did happen to get one, they would use, again, their pelt for things such as clothing and hats and things to keep them warm during the winter. Some other things I found, small threats to Native Americans, things you wouldn't really think of. Something I found was a wolf spider. It was about 2 inches in diameter. They can be a lot smaller or a lot bigger. Those can very easily hide in things and bite Native Americans, and back then they didn't necessarily have proper treatment for a bite. And I know there's also brown recluse around here, which those ones tend to have a more aggressive venom and deteriorates skin and causes a lot more infection and damage to skin as opposed to a wolf spider. Another thing I found, aquatic life that aren't fish. I'm currently in the bottom of a ravine. The highest points around me are about 50 feet above on both sides. It's wet, but since we're kind of in a dry season, there's not water flowing down like there usually is. I did find salamanders. I found a very small salamander, and Native Americans could have used those for food if they were larger. Again, usually not so much. I did find lizards. Again, not much use to Native Americans, but it's still something there if they absolutely need it. Some other things I found is that, like I had said, we're kind of in a dry season, and this is very challenging for Native Americans. If they are living off of a river, well, they're going to have water pretty much at any convenient time they need. Where I am now, usually this is a flowing stream that's about 2-3 foot deep, but we haven't gotten a good amount of rain in, well over a month, and there's no water at all. It's completely dry. There's no mud at all. So this could definitely prove challenging to Native Americans when they needed something to drink. Hunting, again, being it's dry, this can drive animals away from the area. Deer, turkey, all of them, they need water to thrive and survive. So if there's no water, there's no way for them to live, and that means there's no food for Native Americans. So I'm going to move on to my next place. That would be Fern Cliff Nature Preserve. I'll see you when I'm there. So I'm here at Fern Cliff Nature Preserve, and just like Elliott Woods, this is my second time being here. The first time was mainly used for research and to take walks to see if I could find anything and see how a Native American would have lived there, or a group. This time, I'm here to go over the things I had found and just kind of see how things have changed in the last 2 weeks. Fortunately, not much has changed because it's actually warmer than it was a few weeks ago, and we still have not gotten any rain. However, at Elliott Woods, I had said something about a ravine that was completely dried out. It was a more shallow ravine. The edge faces were about 50 feet high on each side. Here at Fern Cliff, the edges are about 300 feet high. Unfortunately, Fern Cliff was altered by man in the early 1900s. It was used as a sandstone quarry to make sand that was then transported to the Coca-Cola company in Terre Haute to make glass for their new bottles. However, I did find a spot that was untouched by man and still natural. The cliff faces were still about 300 feet on each side, but unlike Elliott Woods, there was a flowing creek in the middle of it. This is because natural groundwater was able to seep through, create a nice, about 3-inch deep creek that was about 6 inches wide. This was enough for people to live off of them. This was also enough for animals to live off of them. The dry didn't push animals out. It actually brought them to this creek to get drinks because there's nowhere else they could have gotten it. Now, this meant Native Americans would have wanted settled here. There was water, and there was plenty of food. The shelter was pretty good. you could easily cove into the cliff faces. However, this did mean danger. A lot of the cliff faces were very unsettled and uneven, which made a dangerous terrain for Native Americans. Now, that's about all I had found. Most of the natural wildlife was about the same as Elliott Woods, but seeing how the cliff faces were different and able to create a water flow, unlike Elliott Woods, it showed how maybe just about 20 miles made a difference for Native Americans to settle still off the river. Well, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.